Albin, a world without gods. Their only evidence remains in the form of God shards, the small, crystallized essence of a fallen god's soul.
Hey, welcome back to part 3 of our interview with John Truitt. So last time we've spoken about, forgot the wave. So last time we spoke about you starting with working designs, playing Ghaleon. We even covered about your 3 roles with Popful Mail, which I didn't even know about. So I'm going to have to do some digging on that. That's really interesting. And then we also spoke about your time in the industry, and we also answered reader questions. Now we're going to go on about Godshard Chronicles and your new character, your latest character. This is what, been over 20 years since you've been in an RPG game, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
I think that this might be the first time in a long time. I think I did a character called, I remember the character's name, Ist, but I can't really remember the game. So yeah, it's been a while.
When was that, by the way?
Gosh, I wish I could tell you, when you get to be my age, it all starts to merge together, but I want to say 2010 or 2011.
Okay. Well, hopefully, maybe somebody can find that game for us, and we'll both know the answer. That's what I love about the internet. Somebody always knows something.
I hardly know where I am, much less, well, wait, where am I? So, congratulations. This is your game. Good job.
Thank you. The character's Argent. He's one of the major characters in the game. So we have Adana, Ruby. I got their voice actors. It wasn't too difficult. Ruby's is from Wales and Adana's is from England. So the characters have, similar to Xenoblade, they have regional accents. So characters from Ordonia, like Adana, they all speak with just a standard type of British accent. Numidians, like Ruby, I used the Welsh. However, Vantarians, like Argent, which is a very rare, almost extinct race, we're using an American accent. We're kind of going backwards from how American English evolved from British English. So this game's a bit backwards in that. But when I made Argent, I created him first for the novels, and I thought of him kind of similar. He's different to Ghaleon, but I would picture your voice as he spoke every time, and it made him much easier to write for me as a character. I had trouble writing his lines at first. It was just coming out boring. And every time I pictured you speaking as Ghaleon, I was like, okay, the lines are coming much easier, and that made his dialogue flow much better in the books, and especially for the game. I had trouble finding a voice actor. I could every time I listened to someone's reel, it just didn't sound right. So eventually, I was like, you know what? I keep coming back to your name. I kept coming back to you as the character for him, and I finally just say, well, why don't I just ask you? So I did. I didn't know if you would answer. I mean, I guess you're not on the internet very much either. Social media and all that, are you?
Not a lot.
Gotcha. So finally, I did message you. And what was your reaction? I mean, this person out the blue.
I was curious. You said, hey, I've listened to Ghaleon. I grew up listening to Ghaleon. I've got this project that I'm working on, and so you're a writer. You presented a compelling story, and so I said sure. And I knew you were doing something new, and I know that you're kind of starting off, and you've been through some changes your own self, and I said, yeah, I'll reach out and see what he's up to.
I first I played Lunar the Silver Star. I think I was 12 or 13. So that was my introduction to your acting. And and during that time, Ghaleon was I thought he was a cool character. That was one of my favorites. So to have you on board, growing up listening to you, and me being an adult now and doing my own thing is it's really awesome in a way. I mean, it's funny how that connection was made off of working on a game back in the early 90s, and then me being a child basically playing that game. And now, I don't know, fate kind of works out in funny ways, I guess.
Right, and here we are working together, and I've had a good time working with you. I like your project. I like the way you present your project. I mean, basically, I think that you've done a really good job in reaching out to people, and there's nothing wrong with knowing what you want and sticking to it. And so, when someone like yourself, presents a compelling story and wants to do their project, really the way that they want to do it. If I have the time and the tenacity to be able to help, all the better.
Yeah, this is your first, over 20. Well, not counting that other game, 2011, which we can't. Neither of us know the name.
And no, what you've managed to do during this discussion is sort of like underscore the fact that I can't remember half of the things that I've done. I think I better take a look at that.
Well, barring that one, it's over 20. Well, Lunar, this Eternal Blue, what came out in I can't even remember now either, but it's been probably at least 20 years since.
Been a while.
So
Yeah,
in a way, this is like your return to voice acting and role playing games, isn't it?
Yeah, it's starting to feel like that, and I enjoy doing it. I like your script. I like the way that you presented it. Good working conditions. Fun script, fun character, and so you made it really easy, and so I appreciate that, and I'm looking forward, to what happens with the game.
Well, me too. Like I said, me growing up listening to your voice and then having to give you a script, I have to separate one part of myself when I hand you the script, and that's so there's that inner fanboy. Oh, I'm working with you, but I have to separate that and then come to you with like a professional business mindset. Here's a script, and it's also when we were going over the lines, like how you were going to do the lines and how I wanted that character to portray it. Some people criticize George Lucas on his episode 1 of Star Wars, but in a way I can understand why people wouldn't want to criticize him. But like, I have to tell you how the character would go, and I have to squash that fanboys part of me to be able to deliver that, because I mean, I've grown up listening to you, but also if you were doing something like a bit different to the character, like, and I have to say, how about this direction instead, that's actually quite difficult to do naturally, at least for me. So I had to switch on a whole different mindset when we were doing that, the script and everything. So but I hope it wasn't too bad for you, by the way.
No, it wasn't bad at all. And in fact, if I might be so bold, I think you're still growing up. I mean, this has been a new experience for you, and this has been something that you've wanted to do for a long time, and I'm really happy to be able to see you grow during this process and learn all the ins and outs, and just basically have a good time with it. And I hope you're having a good time with it.
Oh yeah, it's every time I get like new art or new assets, like graphical assets, or a new song from the composers, or the voice lines from you guys, it's like, wow, it's like opening a Christmas present. So people usually ask me, what do you want for Christmas or your birthday? I really don't. I mean,
I want a real cool theme.
yeah. Or I like those voices that you sent. That's a Christmas present. That's what I get excited about. I mean, you could buy me a new car. I'd be like, well, it runs the same as the other. Big deal, But when I get new voices or new tracks, yes. So with the script, moving on to the script, before you said yes to the project, you said, well, let me see what your game looks like and let me see the script. What would have been the deal breaker versus making you decide that you would work on it with me?
I mean, a script is where you start. I mean, that's kind of the foundation, and the script really indicates, what kind of story it is that you want to tell, and also, sort of the originality and the creativity, and you can tell the amount of time that somebody has put into a script. I mean, when you read a draft or you read a fairly completed project, you can tell how much the person has really thought about it. I mean, are the characters, sort of clearly delineated? Can you tell which characters are saying which lines without, necessarily seeing the names? Did the separate characters have a point of view? Does the narrative make logic? Does it have a beginning? Does the script have a good beginning, a good middle, and a good end? Kind of all of these sort of classic things that seem, obvious, but it's actually very tough. It's actually very tough to write an original and creative script and give all of the characters their own point of view and their own separate voices, and at the same time, sort of avoid the pitfalls of, inserting a bunch of tropes or lines that we've heard before. And so when I read your script, it was clearly original. It was all written by the same writer. You could tell it had nice beats, a nice beginning, a middle, and an end. The characters all had nice arcs, and they all had a separate voice. And so I said, yeah, Elman's done his homework. He knows what he's doing, and he knows what he wants, and that's really helpful. When you're working in sort of a creative type of field, like we do. Whether it's a stage play or a film or a reader's theater or any sort of script or performance art. I mean, you got to know what the playbook is. You got to know what the playbook is, and you have to know what the goals and objectives of the script is, and then that helps people be creative. That helps people bring to you their best selves rather than questioning themselves. I don't know what the script's about. I don't know what this character is about. I don't know what I do next. You can add that foreshadowing and those nice touches to your character because the script is sort of indicated, where you are and where you're going. That's a real long answer to your question, but I hope I covered it.
I think you did. I'll do my best without trying to get overwhelmed by the pressure now. No, I'm still. We got the outline pretty much done now, and I'm just hoping to, keep the all the way to the ending, keep that momentum going. So, but like your character, I really like it. Like him, but I saw one reader or one person on Twitter say was a bit worried if he would be pretty much an offshoot from Ghaleon. And of course, like to me, he's a much different character. It's just he might have a similar tone because you're the same, it's the same actor, obviously. But what would you say, you going through the script and the acting that you've done for Argent, what would you say is what separates him to you?
Backstory. Certainly, what they want and what they need are two completely different things. Argent probably comes from more of he has kind of more of an academic type of background. So he's a lot more didactic as opposed to Ghaleon, who is more of an active, sort of eternal type of creature. There's never any doubt about what Ghaleon wants and who he is and what his status is, but Argent manages to fool people. Argent manages to, sort of be the professor that can kind of intellectualize his way through everything. The two characters are very, very different, and that's the point of any actor, is to be able to do multiple roles, but at the same time, also deliver a consistency and a tone and the type of attitude that people are looking for. So, I'm going to use, my voice in a way that seems natural and in a way that seems right for whatever the characters are. And I can change my voice, within certain parameters. But, if you were looking for something that was completely different, then you would have picked somebody completely different.
True. And yeah, you're right about Argent. He does have loads of, like you said, the backstory. He has a family. Ghaleon, I think, was
Right.
single.
Right. So I think that in shorthand, I kind of I was a little oblique. You didn't ask Galleon to do your game. Okay. You asked John Truitt to do your game. And it just so happens that John Truitt also did Ghaleon, but you didn't call up Ghaleon. You called up me, and you and I discussed this project. You and I discussed what was important about your script, and you put the trust and the faith in me to bring this character to life. And and also these projects they have their own beginning and middle and an end, just like the script does. So if there was any step along the way, that you weren't satisfied, with the character that John Truitt was presenting to you, you would have been totally and completely within your rights to say, hey, you know what? That's not the character that I wanted. So I think it's important sometimes for people to remember, you didn't ask Ghaleon to do the show. You asked John to do the show. And I was really happy to do it because you had a great script.
And one thing I did like about doing a script with you, or going over the script, is you had your own changes to add to it, and
Absolutely, and you were totally open to those, and I like that. I really like working with people that are creative and collaborative. I find that the most creative people, people like yourself, are the least threatened by change, because they want the best possible outcome, and they want people to feel comfortable, and to know that this role belongs to you. Please let me know everything that you can bring to the role. That's why you ask other people to do it. Or else, if you just wanted it strictly, to be your way, well, then you would just record all the voices yourself.
oh, that would be horrible. Like, listen to my voice; it's not very good.
It would be horrible. You know what I mean? And so that's the whole idea of teamwork and a creative, collaborative process, is that you bring a lot of different talents to bear, and then the whole process is much richer. And so things like pride and ego and vanity and all those things have to go out the window when you want to create a really good collaborative project. And I think that you've done a good job with this. Congratulations.
Appreciate it, John. And to add on about you mentioning about the script and such, one thing I think is important, like the voice actor, if I give you a script and you have these lines, and say I've written one line that just completely sounds unnatural for you to say, I think that would come out in the acting, whereas you change it to something. Well, and I've had Adana's actor do that. Well, you've done it too. But Adana's actor, Carly Fish, she said, I don't think Adana would say that compared to everything she's about. She would probably say more like this, because it sounds, she's really empathetic person. So she would say this and it sounds more natural. And I said, let's use that then, because you're right. It made sense. And when she said it like that, when she acted, it sounded perfect. So, and you had a few lines too that would sound like delightful is one of your, like, I don't use that word. I don't ever use it in my writing, but Argent that's one of his words.
Delightful. I'll wait for you by the entrance to Valor Keep when you're ready.
You're adding your own flavor. This character better than I do in certain ways. So you adding that flavor to it, I think, just makes Argent take off on a life of his own.
Absolutely.
So, and I think it's not just the script now, it's also the voice actors. And I think that's how it should be done, when the voice actors give it that special life. I mean, you get the best script you can, but get the voice actors that will breathe life into it. And then, of course, Mr. Iwadare and Isomura, they're going to put this nice soundtrack to it. So I think a combination of all.
Yeah, I mean, you've scored some really talented musicians. I'm really looking forward to the way that it sounds. Really looking forward to it. So, congratulations. You put together a good creative team.
Thank you. And is there anything you'd like to add about so far from what you've done with Argent or the game?
Yeah, I like the sound of everybody else as well. I think that the other characters are sounding really fantastic, and it goes back to what I said. You sort of laid that foundation, with your initial script in that the characters are consistent and they have a point of view and they have a personality, and that's really and the lines aren't pedestrian. They're not a bunch of tropes. So everything sounds immediate and it sounds conversational, and I really like the shape and the sounds of everybody that's involved, and you're going to add the music to it, and it's going to be pretty incredible. And I mean, and it's your thing. I mean, I know that you've worked hard on this, and this is something that you've wanted kind of for a long time, and so you really went about this the right way, and everything takes longer than you want it to take, and but I think that the patience that you exhibited, sticking with what you wanted, making sure that those initial things that you did were just right, so that everybody else could buy onto the project. I think you're looking forward to a good product, a good, strong product.
Yeah, originally I think
I'm kind of a fan of yours. In case a lot of that, and Elman, seriously, a lot of that is important. When you and I talked, the first couple of times, and we met, over Zoom, it's like, oh, okay, this is a guy that I like. This is a guy that I can work with. And I think that sometimes, people underestimate that, it's not just about, the process, but it's also about, you have to be comfortable with people in order to communicate with them. You have to be able to trust them so that you can make, the changes or the nuances that you want to make. And so you approach that thing, from a very friendly, very teamwork point of view, and that serves you well.
Well, and on the flip side, I mean, I'm getting the same in return from you and the rest of the team. Like you and like Carly and and the other people on the team, they believe in the project. And I've had people when I first started that didn't think it would go anywhere. I mean, would just tell me negative things. Yeah, and I realize that's an important part of your team. You have to believe in it to put something good out. If I was writing a script and I was like, oh, this is going to fail, this is horrible, and I gave it to you, that emotion would come right through right away.
Absolutely.
And it's, on the flip side, the voices I get, the recordings I get from you and Carly and Bethan's another one. Those voices that come back are just, like you can tell they're proud of the project. They believe in it. It's like it's their baby too.
I'm just a squire. Ruby's the knight.
The better question is, what are you doing out here?
That's how I want them to feel. I want you guys to feel like it's your stuff. It's not. I mean, I just simply write the script and do some game design. Really, I mean, it's the rest of the people breathing life into this. I feel like my role is small in a way in the whole scheme of things, but I mean, it's teamwork. I wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. I think it'd be severely a crippled project if it was just me.
I'm glad you're enjoying yourself.
Now, did you have any like friend of a family member or family of a friend or family member who played through Lunar and then realized for the first time it was you who was Ghaleon, or any like surprising moments like that?
No, that hasn't happened yet. That would be really cool if it happened. But I do have every once in a while, when I meet somebody or people find out, still to this day, they go, oh, that's you. And every once in a while, people will hear my voice, and they go, have we met before? You sound really familiar. And I'll say, I did Ghaleon back in the day, and they go, oh my gosh, I played that game when I was a kid. It's fun.
That's the voice of Ghaleon.
Impossible.
It's interesting to be known. It's interesting to be known for your voice. I mean, we're visual people.
Yeah.
We're visual people. I think that people are a lot more visual than they are audio. And so, I think that we recognize people by recognizing their faces. But, I've known people before, that I've just heard over the phone. And also, I come from a different generation than you do. There was a time when the radio used to be a lot more popular than it is now. And so,
that was me too.
DJs would be really, 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 really popular. And you have this idea in your head of what it is that they would look like. And then you would actually meet the DJ and you go, wow, that's not at all what I imagined that person would look like. And so I think that we've moved away from that a little bit. And now with the immediacy of, we're all carrying around, cameras with us everywhere we go, video cameras everywhere we go. And so I think that that seeing people and recognizing people visually is even more prevalent than it was in the past. So being known in an audio kind of way is fun.
And a lot of people actually say, so a lot of people that heard your voice through little clips of our games, they say, wow, his voice, he sounds just like he did back then. It's like he hasn't aged. So those were a lot of typical comments for that.
So, I mean, I definitely have aged, but I do recognize myself that over the years my voice has not changed very much, and I've always had my voice is sort of I know that's interesting in a way. It's kind of in a way my voice is kind of annoying at the same time because I mean I have a real high timbre in my voice. I'm aware of that, and so and a bit of a nasal tone to my voice. But then at the same time, I also have this very low bass note in my voice. So I'm aware that I cover a pretty wide range of sounds in it, and it turns out that that's done me pretty well. It's afforded me a lot of good times and a lot of fun.
Well, it's funny how you say that this is the negative about my voice, but apparently I made it into a strength for the acting field.
Turns out.
Yeah, I mean, even when I listen to you talk, I can see why people like I've heard your voice somewhere before. You have a very distinct voice, and a lot of people like your maniacal laughter.
Behold the might of your new master!
Yeah, when you did the one for the trailer. So I think that's about all the time we have. But hopefully, if the viewers want it, we can also do a part 4 sometime. But till then, you guys have a good time, and thank you again.
Thanks, Alan.